I want to start out by addressing that, yeah, a couple weeks ago I did put out a video about feeling behind in life, and I know that feeling lost and behind in life are kind of a similar topic, but I did want to draw a clear distinction between the two from the get-go. So imagine that you're walking in the woods with a group of people, and you're behind this group of people, maybe catching your breath, maybe going a little bit slower, being like, oh my god, guys, wait up for me. Like, I think anybody who's feeling behind in life tends to feel more like that metaphor. And now for anyone feeling lost in life, you're in the middle of the woods, no one's around you, you have no point of reference for where you're heading next, you're just lost, you are directionless, you are standing still in the middle of these trees having no clue where you're supposed to be going next. Under those contexts, feeling lost and feeling behind are very, very different scenarios. Everybody in their 20s that I know has all experienced some sort of feeling lost. It seems like it's mostly with career stuff, but you can easily feel this in other areas of life as well. Most of you graduate college, and from that moment onward, you have no guidelines, no roadmap for what you're supposed to be doing for the rest of your life. Every moment up to that point has been set up by very specific landmarks, very specific achievements, and from that point onward, it's very easy to get stuck in this feeling of feeling lost. To be like, okay, I graduated, now it's time to figure out the entire rest of my life until I die. The actions that I'm putting forth now will result in my either happiness or unhappiness 20, 40, 50, 60 years down the road. And there was a time for me where that was an enormous struggle. With my 2 degrees in hand, I step out into adulting very sheepishly, very directionless, very like, I kind of just got to do what makes sense to me first, but like, I know that there is a bigger grand scheme plan here. I know that I should be thinking about my life on a greater scale. I know that I need to start doing things now to get where I want to be in a couple of years. I took a job that I didn't really want. I took a job because it was there. It paid absolutely horribly. And then surprisingly quickly, like within a year of me graduating, I found a job working at a local news station as a videographer, and I was finally able to take that one step closer to being in that career path that I want to be in. And so it was either the weekend before I started this new videography job or the weekend right after the first week of my videography job. I can't quite remember. But I do what I always do when I am in the need of a clear mind, of a fresh start, of, just emptying out all my worries and insecurities and just grounding myself to reset myself. And I went for a walk in the woods. I also wanted to test out the brand new camera lens that I got for Christmas. Thus, the photos that you are about to see are from that exact date, that exact hike that I ended up taking. It was February when I drove out to the Catskills of New York State, and I took my first winter weather hike. All the other hiking that I've done up to this point has just been like summery, nice weather. This is the first time that I was walking with a thick layer of snow on the ground. So thick that that trail was invisible. There was no way of telling where the path is. Nobody was hiking before me. I could see nobody else's footprints. I'm starting to get like, did I make a mistake coming out here? Did I, is this weather too much? Is this too much snow to be trudging through? Am I gonna die out here? Worst case scenario, I just have to leave because there's no way to know how to get up this mountain that I'm trying to hike. Never been on this mountain before, cannot possibly see the trail, no map. That part is obvious because it's 2018 at this point and people just don't carry paper maps with them when they go up the mountain. But that's important for visual metaphor reasons later. However, there were trail markers on the trees, like, when you're hiking, you see those colored little circles or whatever that guide you to where you're supposed to be going next on the trail. They come in handy in most situations, but usually you also have a pretty clear path below your feet, kind of guiding you. And those trail markers are really just like a nice extra visual cue for where to be going next. But on this very snowy day, those trail markers were all I had. So from any given point, no matter where I was standing, this trail was marked good enough so that I could see the next trail marker, maybe the next two, but usually just the next one or two trail markers. And so the way that I continued through this hike was just telling myself, like, okay, I see the next trail marker, I'm just gonna walk in that direction. Okay, I see the next one, I'm just gonna walk in that direction. And just take it one step at a time, one trail marker at a time. And at that point, maybe it's just because I intentionally go out on these kind of walks in search of some kind of a spiritual epiphany, visual metaphor, awakening kind of thing. Maybe I was just asking for it. Maybe it was, something I constructed within myself. But I very quickly put together oh, this is a metaphor for life. Because where I was at life in that very moment, with me starting my next job as the only thing in my area that made sense to me, the only thing that I was qualified for at that time, the thing that I felt the strongest about, that I needed to be at in that moment, it was this pull. It was this trail marker saying hey, here's your next step. From where I was standing on the trail of life, covered in snow, no way to know how it's gonna end, no way to know what it's gonna look like where I end up, but have a vague idea that I want to be on a mountain. I have no map readily available to me, and even if I did, it's not like I can look at it and mark precisely on the map where I'm supposed to be heading. There is no clear path ahead of me. There is no conception of the dozens of steps that I would need to take to get to that top of the mountain. All I knew was I'm standing right here where I am. I can see that next point, and if I just head that way, if I just trust that this is the next best step that I can make right now, once I get there, my life, my environment, everything around me will eventually point me to the next step that also makes the most sense to head in. And from there, head to the next step. From there, head to the next step, and the next step, and eventually the mountain, the destination that I wanted to be at. Additionally, the only time that the path was clear to me was the path that I was looking behind at, the path that my footprints had left. And so there were a couple of times that I started wandering off in a different direction because I couldn't clearly see the trail marker, but because I could see my footprints in the snow, I knew exactly where I had come from before. I could retrace my steps, go back to the nearest trail marker and reevaluate, take a better look around, see oh, okay, that's the one that I missed, and correct my path and head in the direction that I need to be going in. Also, I should be specific too that the mountain isn't the end of your life. The mountain isn't, the big goal that you're gonna hit, that you're gonna stay in for the next, however long amount of time. Every mountain is a different goal. Every mountain is a different place that you want to be in, and we're all just gonna climb a bunch of mountains throughout our lifetime. So does everyone see what I'm getting at? You can't look at your whole life or this entire goal that you want and know every single step that you're gonna have to take to get there. Life is just too big and too complicated to be able to tell everything from the get-go, to be able to tell from the start of the trail to the end of it, everything that's gonna come up, everything that is going to be handed to you or not handed to you. You don't have to know every single step of your life here on out. You don't have to be able to see or know what that final destination looks like. You're not going to know until you are there, and all you can do is just get from the next point to the next point. Just keep heading in the direction that your instincts are telling you this makes sense right now. I do think that more of us could be exercising more control over our lives, but at the same time, Life isn't going to allow you to walk in just whatever direction you want to, but life doesn't require a complete visualization of the path from point A to point B either. All you gotta do is just be where you are, keep looking around for whatever that next step is that makes sense. That's all we can do, especially in your 20s, speaking from experience from a guy that's only a couple months away from turning 30. And yeah, I guess like reflecting on the majority of my 20s living life in that way, I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but every major point in my life, every major chapter that I've been in, the good ones and the bad, or the ones that have the good and the bad happening at the same time, that's actually mostly what's going on. Every point has been there for a reason. Every point has served me well in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I'm glad I could finally get this out. I'm glad I could finally share this, and I'm kind of glad that I waited until I was a little bit older, that I lived the majority of my 20s like kind of under this philosophy to really talk about if there's any merit to this philosophy or not, and I think there is. So yeah, thanks for watching.